Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I hope there was not much of smog and all of you were able to reach here without any cash problems. Anyway, good morning. I'm Gyanand Kumar Kashyap. So I will try to moderate the panel discussion that we'll have post Sudeshnaji's session. And so when we talk about the changing way of fashion retail and how retail should do business, we go back to Seth Godin, who said that marketing is no longer about what stuff you make. It is more about the stories that you tell. And the product that we manufacture or that we sell or the ideas that we do, they are just a part of the story. And if you look at the Virgin Group, then the CMO, Mr. Rodden, says that the best brands are built on great stories. And branding, I'm sure, because majority of you are from this field of branding, you must agree or may feel that branding is nothing but it's all about storytelling. We all think it is important for us or for a powerful brand to tell a great story, a story that grabs and holds the attention not only of the visitors but everyone, just like an interesting novel or a movie. Now, the purpose of storytelling is to engage emotion and bring it to bear a decision. That is what you all do. You try to attract, engage, and act. Now, what is act? Act is the action of buying. That is what great designers, brand masters do. Now, when we talk about fashion retail lighting per se is all about emotion. It is about bringing out the emotion that the retailers want to associate their brands with. Forward-looking retailers, like all of you, often have clear views about which way the lighting will contribute to the overall feel of the stores. Now, creative lighting is not a nice to have, it is a must to have. In this discussion, what we should look forward to as taking point is how, as retailers, can we design the store better, our presence better, more so because of the e-commerce. Now, each of us, we can shop on e-commerce. You take a mobile, you flip it, you go to stores. Why should a customer then visit a physical store? That is the real challenge that all of us face.
Well, a lot of online retailers now are coming into brick and mortar stores.
That is
Pepper Fry. So I think it's like
that is one purpose that you all are here. You have created something in the physical store which is missing in the online store. And the greatest is, I think, is the touch and feel that we say, but it's more about human emotions there. That is not there. You can go to Flipkart, you can flip it, you can go to Snapdeal, you can go to Amazon, but I don't think there's a human emotion there. So that is what great visual merchandisers, brand masters, marketeers do. And I'm sure with all of this, there's a link of ROI also. We'll leave it to Sudeshnaji to take on that. So I would like to call upon Sudeshna Mukhopadhyay, who is the Senior Director, Center of Competence at Philips Lighting Academy and Philips Applications. She has over, I think, 3 decades of experience, and she has worked across geography, be it the Indian subcontinent, the Asian, the Pacific, the Greater China, North Asia, Japan, and she has been managing multicultural teams in leadership positions across all these. And she's been associated with a number of academic institutions. She's a visiting faculty to IIT Kharagpur and Jadavpur University. She is also so much engaged with academics that she's helping students pursue their masters. She's helping them with their thesis and all. So I think the best person to do all this would be Sudeshnaji. Madam, welcome.
Thank you.
And we look forward
Thank
to
you
your
all.
presentation today.
And good morning to all of you. I think interesting morning. We are talking about disruptions at the breakfast, and interesting that all of us who are around are representing some way a lot of disruptions. There's huge amount of disruptions which is happening in the lighting field, and of course I jokingly mentioned Mr. Modi as the brand. For me, lighting per se is a big brand I represent. 30 years I've been in lighting, practicing lighting and lighting design, and teaching lighting as well. And to me, I strongly believe that it's It's a very strong visual communicator, extremely underutilized by most of us. So what does it all mean for, so this was my story part of it, you were talking about the storytelling. So what does it mean for retail and lighting? It's disruptions, right? So it's changing completely the way as a lighting designer, I am looking at a retail space. And I'm now looking at non-conformist solutions. Because lighting is not about choosing an equipment and putting on the ceiling. It is going to be an aid to your entire retail business process per se. And that's where the power of lighting comes. And the technology which we have in LED connected is basically helping you to do that. So what am I trying to do with lighting? I want to attract people. And I'm sure, I mean, you guys are much more experts in this subject than I am. We try to engage people and we want to convert them to our customers. That's a very, very simple principles. So when we are talking about, why did in-store buying is under challenge, is probably there is some amount of boredom which, gets seeped in. So, we are of course, sitting in a time or living in a time where we are all constrained for the time, factor part of it. So many of us avoid going to the store because we might find it, what's there in a store for us to go out over there. If I need to buy, I can just buy. There are so many other options to buy. I don't need to go to the store. So what if we use lighting as a medium to create experience in the store? And that's what the power of new age fashion retail is about. That we need to turn the store into a destination. There has to be a compelling reason why people are wanting to come to your store. And each of you have a different story to convert it into a destination. It could be a family outing to probably even a social messaging that, when you buy into a store, probably you're contributing to some CSR, to some villages, who are helping in this entire process. So there has to be compelling reason, and people are looking at experiences. I track sometimes my behavior, and not that I don't use all the brands, but one of my favorite brand person is out over here. So I use a lot of Fab India stuff, and I keep telling Vardhan, when he talks about Fab India, so tell them that I'm their, also one of their key accounts by themselves. But I keep changing stores. Not that each store is convenient or inconvenient. So even if it is a brand, I say, okay, probably, I like going to the Hindustan Park one or the South X one, because there is some, either in the layout or in the experience I build. All those of you who are in the retail business, I think all of us also, we are there, we also have branded retail, and we keep on tracking the, same store sales. Is it going up? Is it going down? How do we create each store as a same destination? Do we want to create same experiences in the same destination? Can we run campaigns in different, store locations with the same message? And that's what very easily can be done by lighting. You were talking about signage, or when Shop Stop had to change the entire brand logo over many store location, and how big that exercise was. Just imagine, if many of these brand stores were connected over the net, and you could do it from a central location, that okay, today is breast cancer day, all my storefronts become pink. If it's a women apparel store, that's a message. So all over India, with the same messaging, you could do that. And that's what I'm talking about, transforming your store into destination. That's a, part of it. So when we turning the store into a stories, there is a lot of science in retail lighting, which we call as a visual impact analysis. Okay, we do not want to get away from that, and it is not my intention to get into the actual designing part of retail. I'm sure you will have designers in your team where we can connect later. But what I mean to say, there's a science in that retail lighting part, there is a lot of art in that retail lighting as well. Where we talk about positioning, creating impacts, how do we really bring merchandise alive, where we talk about attract, engage, and convert out of it. And the most important challenge which we have, and I keep saying that, do we add more science in the art, or do we add more art in the science of lighting? And I think that is where this interesting part in the disruptive world of lighting and retail is. How do I get the right balance? Where do I have more science and where do I have more art? And even in that same part of it, let me just give an example. You need more science in lighting, and most neglected area in a store is the cash till area. Extremely neglected area in store. I don't go to any Indian store and find that anybody has paid attention to that cash till area. That's where your bread and butter is. How much of loss of sales do you have in a cash till area? I'm sure you'll do all this analysis. I am a big contributor. If I go and see a big queue, I just walk away, put my basket somewhere and say, I'm not going to stand. How do you make people wait in that till that conversion happens, and how do lighting help to do that? Also, there are people, imagine for 8 hours, 10 hours sitting in the store. The store is not only about your buyers, the store is also about your employees. How do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them motivated and productive, that they are, converting all the conversations they have with the buyers into a sales? Because if you don't have motivated salesperson, and that's one of the reasons why people would still go to a store, right? They want to talk to someone. In an online version, you're not able to talk. Why do people still like to go to a Kirana store? Because you're going to have a breakfast conversation with the owner of the store, who will tell you, this milk is no good for you. My Kirana store tells me, why do I buy skimmed milk? He is only selling it, right? Oh, उसमें तो कुछ nutrient ही है नहीं, आप क्यों ये milk लेते हो? But I like that conversation. So I rather, go to that store and, I think someone is taking care of me at least out of a year, and I do it. So the people who are there in the store, don't forget them. They need to be productive and they need to be engaged. So always our fashion retail store design is very much in the buyer access, to get that employee access, and that is where I'm talking about science. And when I talked about the circadian rhythm, how do you keep their productivity high, during the afternoon session? I don't have time for it, but the sleep cycle has very interesting terms. Your peak sleep is at 2:30 in the night. That's where a healthy human being sleeps well. And the human sleep cycle is actually a 12-hour cycle, not a 24-hour cycle. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, any healthy human being have what they call as a sleep propensity. And they called it as a post-lunch dip session. We always attribute it to the food we take in the lunch, but it is actually nothing to do with the lunch. That's how as I talked about, let there be light and there was light, God created us that way. It has created us that every 12 hours you will have this peak in melatonin. Unfortunately, in our times, we can't afford that. So if you have a blue dose during that 2 to 2:30, whether it is in your cafeteria or whether it is in your relaxing room, you drink less coffee. Coffee has the same effect as lighting, as blue lighting for that matter. But coffee causes permanent damage. It causes more chemical changes. Lighting is an irreversible. It takes 21 hours. So those of you fly frequently overseas, you take 21 hours to adjust your jet lag. Jet lag happens because of melatonin shift cycle. So if you expose yourself to daylight, it will be 18 hours jet lag, otherwise 21. So light therapy is an extremely reversible theory. So when you are doing this lighting, just weave the storyline well. And again I said, I did not take it from him. So start the journey from the window facade to the checkout. What are the activities? What are the human interactions happening at ad stage? is the science and the art well balanced? Sometimes too much of art also doesn't do good. And I give a great example in fine dining restaurants. They make a great art of it, of the designers. And I know many of the interior designers, good friends of mine for 30 years. And I tell them, you forget about the main purpose of a fine dining. You're going with a very special purpose to dine. The way you position your light, you cannot see anybody's face. There is no, what we call is a vertical lighting on the face. So how are you going to have a comfortable, meal out of that? So, there is so much of drama creation which happens that you forget the purpose for why you have gone for dining. You've gone for dining with a social reason, to be with a very special person, and to spend time with that person out over there. So how do we connect that? So of course I'm not going to go for one-to-one, but what I meant to say, that weave the storyline well. Functional area, each requires a different sessions. Next few slides, I'm just going to show you some installations. What I talk about attracts. Show window is an important calling card, as we say in our language. Most of the time, how do you stop people in the passerby into the shop? All of you have brands to compete with. We are also in a commercial industry, so nobody exists in a non-competing world. How do you make your store stand out against the next store? I'm sure visual merchandisers do a lot of look at it out over there, but if I see in the mall, especially if your store is in the mall, they're completely lost. How do you make sure that you are going to the right store, and is the store window compelling enough for you to make? Otherwise they'll just walk past by it and not make the entry. So that's the first thing. You have to have what we call as the footfall. Is it compelling enough to have the footfall? People do a lot of merchandising. I say use light as a medium. It's the easiest medium with which you can change. And when you're using LED, you can just program it to anything and anything. Whether you would like to run any awareness campaigns, you would like to do seasonal promotions out over there. Usually we'll have this track lights which is always same color. So no matter what color of merchandising you are putting out over there, it doesn't create that impact which it should be there. So integrate lighting in it, program it in a way. LEDs is so simple to program. You don't even need to go to the site to do it. Somebody can do it even off-site by, just running the program off-site out over there and do it. I'm sure many of you must have seen the store in Bombay, the Asian Paint store. They use interestingly light to show the paint. So if you want their Mera Wala red, they use colored lights to show how that effect is going to be out over there. And then engaging the shoppers with an in-store experience. So when you attract, people see a good, show window, they go in, will they stay long enough? How long are they going to stay within that store? Is the light helping them to do orientation, guidance and attraction as well? Or are they lost in a large format store? Because getting lost in a large format store is, in fact, even in a small format stores, you need to know where you find. Of course, there are a lot of signs written, but can you do it in a more intelligent way? Is the men's section lit in a different way than women's sections? I was reading a research on women's buying behavior. They spend more time to see textures than men. So men makes more technical decisions. So they see sizes and women see textures. And seeing a size is very different than seeing a texture. So if you have to see a texture, is the light good enough to see a texture for that? So women's section, men's section, can you do demarcation through lighting itself? In-store product presentation. All of you, I'll be talking about colors a little while. In-store experience. This is a large format store. They have a video wall running messages out over here. So just for seeing this, because they change the content every season, people flock to that store and spend that time. Demarcation in terms of colors, in terms of kids zones, creating accents wherever it is necessary. So these are various examples out over there. This is a very nice example of a lingerie section where they run a lot of women themes through colors. Imagine having to repaint and doing physical prop changing would be so much more expensive. So lighting is a much cheaper way to use it as a messaging and change the formats out over there. And in this section, if you see, this is a very simple lighting. The light itself is an attractive element, so people would probably go out over there. This is a Nike brand store in the US. Here you see they use something from Philips which they call as a large luminous surface. So these are acoustic panels by themselves, which are light panels. Okay, so you don't have a separate acoustic and you could also jump on these to see the the bounciness of the sneakers per se, how comfortable you are. So you are able to do that, and they've made it into sort of a light and a soundproof area. So that's a different customer experience people would have out over there. So these are again what we call as a large luminous ceiling patterns over there. This is a very interesting store design. Which is also basically, this is BMW, but the first piloted in Porsche, where they have two distinct zones. Where you inspect the car, they have heavy blues, because that's where you need to be very alert. Where they are wanting to actually close the deal, they have a lovely pink lighting, where people are more relaxed and they have a much more friendly conversation. So even car stores are using such themes out over here. As I was just mentioning, queues at the cashier means you're doing very well, but it can be also very frustrating to impatient customers. And I think, these are the triggers which a lot of, Philips actually funded a lot of lighting research, retail research, behavioral patterns, and we try to link, where lighting plays a role. And one of the reasons of also online buying is quickness of this entire process. It takes a few clicks to buy out over here. You don't need to stand in queues. And these are some of the examples that used where they use lighting to create a theme. You could do it with other things as well. I'm not saying that lighting is not the area, but lighting is dynamic, which means, when someone's waiting for even 5 minutes, it's like putting a large television screen, but I think nobody likes to watch a news clipping or anything. These are just light emotional effects, and these are again acoustic panels by themselves, and they're fabrics for that matter. But to me, the most important area in a store, sadly, extremely neglected in any store design. You are buyers, I am buyers as well. So, while you are sellers, I'm sure you buy somewhere else out over here, is where we talk about where do the conversion happens, where do the decisions happen in terms of buying. One of the decisions which happens is in the changing room areas and where the final inspection happens. And in most cases, we don't help in facilitating decisions. So you see an object, and if you really want to buy it, you need to be facilitated to buy it. I found this very interesting examples, and when we talk about non-conformist, this is a men's trousers section, and I'm saying, would the man person right pink of the trouser if he needs to buy? Is the lighting good enough? Because to me, this is almost Vibgyor men's trouser section. So when I say Vibgyor, you have violets and you have reds. And when I talked about light sources, it has got light spectrum, right? Some lights are good in violets and blue. Some lamps have got more oranges and red. So if someone's looking for a pink color and your light says more blues and oranges, he would never be able to choose the right pink. So he might not even although he had made up his mind, the conversion doesn't happen because he's not confident whether he's bought the right pink trousers or the right blue fabric which is out over there. So colors and textures are the reasons why you are still going to store. I'm sure if you do random research, it's not about fabric. When I say colors and texture, it applies to anything else, everything else also. Whether you're buying crystal or you're buying a stone, or even shoes, you want to feel the fabric out of it. It's one of the main reasons why we still like to go in store. Otherwise, you could probably go in for online out over here. And colors have different aspects, very technical, not going into it. But what I mean to say is that LEDs now help you to choose the spectrum. It helps you to say that, if you have blue, or if you are wanting to go into yellow, you can choose the right spectrum. So that same location, you could have a common orange display, or you can have a blue display. Just change the light setting and the colors come out well. Or you could have your sections, there are many stores which I have seen, they stack items as per colors. So you'll have all the red kurtas and the blue kurtas out, and all of them are in the same color. So you never know, it's always by hunch you're choosing the color. If you provide a facility saying this is your color matching section, all they need to have is 3 simple downlighters with color tuning. The store operator, I have a picture somewhere out over here I will show, with their phone itself they can change the color setting, and you choose your Mera Wala red and the Mera Wala blues and the Mera Wala pinks, or probably the Mera Wala white. White has different shades by itself, and you would know, ask any ladies and you will see how difficult it is to match white out over here. And this is exactly what they do, and it is saying. So you have in a display a blue and red, which are the 2 different spectrums, and you just tune your colors out over there, and the whites itself. So there are products which we call as crisp white LED product, which help you to choose the whites. And this is, probably not so relevant in India, because one of the most expensive stores in Europe is a wedding destinations, right? And their gowns are all white. So you really need to show the right white to them. And these are specially tuned LEDs which help you to sell that. If any of you is in the grocery hypermarket, there are spectrum for meat, there are spectrum you can choose for any fruits and vegetables and fish as well. Not only they highlight, they also help to preserve, because the more you put all your fresh food under lights, there is some amount of decaying which happens. So it's not the buy before, or best before only from the normal point of view. Lights, because it's all giving energy, right? Every lights will have some amount of infrared or ultraviolet, and they cause decay, and they help to do that. But the real proof of buying is happen in the fitting room. There's a research which has been done by House of Fraser along with certain other agencies, says 60% of the buying decisions takes place in the fitting rooms. And there's a very interesting visual which I have. You can Google this up, so I've not made it up. Same dress under same lighting conditions, if you see the women, they look very different. So if you are putting on a dress and you think everything is jutting out, you might not buy it. That same dress in a different lighting conditions, you look much more trimmer and slimmer out over there. It's a position of the mirror, it's a position of the lights itself. More often than not, you just have 2 downlighters. They cast shadows. All they do when you have lights on top of the ceiling is they just cast shadows in that small space. Nobody can really take a decision. So the other reason why people go to the store is fitting, right? So I talked about colors, textures and fitting. I find these are 3 compelling reasons why I have till 2016 never bought one piece of either a shoe or a dress online. Although I buy pots and pans and coffees and other things online, I've never, because I don't trust it. I need to feel the fabric, I need to feel the texture, I need to see the color, I need to see whether it fits me. And that's the reason. And this is where lighting plays the biggest role out over here. So rethink the fitting room area. Most neglected, this is of course a nice example, but it's not only thing that you could have different lighting options. Because when you buy a dress, you buy a dress for an occasion, right? Whether it is going to be your home wear or an office wear or your party wear. So if you're wanting to look at the dress or even any apparel or any accessory, it's for an occasion which you buy or a context you buy. You don't buy, and especially women, we don't wear the same churidar to a wedding or a office. They're all different dresses. I'm sure shirts and kurtas and everything will be different. So all when we make a decision in the changing room, why don't we help them with that very simple thing? These are very simple things to do. Having a dynamic show window, having a an engaging conversation within the store place where you are able to choose colors and making that decisions in the fitting room is very different. So, whether you have seasonal wear, if you see how the reds change because the colors, the color setting of a change. So, which is the actual red that person was buying? Probably she doesn't need to know. She just wants to know that I'm going to wear it during summer times outdoor. Am I looking nice in that color? Because what actually is a true color? It's always different discussions out over there. So this is a party dress, and you've created a party environment in the changing room itself, and I'm sure that helps them to make better. So these are very, very, what you can say, simple things which is forcing us to look beyond lighting. Because as I said, there is science, there is art. We need to bring in the balance over there, but look beyond the obvious of the lighting, and that's going to create a really, really engaging space. Some of these ideas we've already piloted with the big brands in retail, and with extremely good feedback saying that they've had more footfalls, there has been more conversions out over there. And that's where, as an organization, we can partner in terms of creating all this. Before I end, of course, I like to always talk about my academy. I run the Philips Lighting Academy. So if any of you would like teaching in lighting for you, your teams, or for any other purpose itself, of course, we can always help in that. To me, I just would like to end with a message, and this is something I love from, I heard from one of the designers in a conference, that this is a social topic. Light is something very, very social. It's not an industry or an equipment which you are transacting, to do something out of it. It affects us in very, very different ways. It is a responsibility for us also, because we consume 19% of the world's energy is consumed by lighting alone. So we do have a social responsibility to be extremely conscious in terms of how we are using it, how we are applying it, and how we are recycling it for that matter, because after all, without lighting nothing functions. If we switch it off, we all have darkness around. Thank you so much for your attention. I do hope we've had some insights into what the actual world of lighting is, and maybe we can have a discussion on how we can help making your stores look better, attract, convert, engage and convert.